keep him in the pocket. You got me? You better quit around.
Look, coaches often do dumb things that put their teams in a bad position, like not taking the points or accepting the Carolina Panthers job. It's a coach's job to prepare his team, but what about when his players do inexplicably dumb that cost the squad big time? You would think that with the millions of dollars being shelled out around the gridiron, that you wouldn't see the following mental and ignorant mistakes players make that often infuriate fans. Too bad. These are all too common. Dumb things NFL players constantly do is coming up right after this. Hey, are you tired of boring, time-sucking mobile games where absolutely nothing happens? You're a football guy. You should play a football game. Introducing Football Head Coach, a game where you can build your roster, make moves, and beat other teams on your way to a championship. Okay, so I started out with a pretty cheeks roster, but as the football head coach, you can build your team up by doing challenges, playing matches, buying players from the transfer market, player trade challenges, or ripping packs like I did. Best part is, this is an NFLPA licensed game, so there are real players you can collect and trade. Watch my roster improved. I cracked open the veteran and jingle bell packs, and my roster was improved significantly as I picked up guys like Tristan Wirfs and DeMarcus Lawrence. Then I adjusted my tactics to run a more suitable offense and defense based on my players. My offense is pretty loaded, so I went with a more aggressive play calling style. And guess what? It resulted in a big win. On screen is the QR code to download Football Head Coach, or you can get it from the link below, or it can be downloaded from the Play or App Store. Simulate matches, build your roster, and collect famous NFL players. Download Football Head Coach today. Running the wrong route. You ever see a throw that sails over a receiver's head by 30 yards and the QB looks more hurt and angry than a guy whose wife's been shopping at Target for the last 4 hours? No, it wasn't a standard Zach Wilson throw. A lot of times the receiver ran the wrong route. The complexity of NFL playbooks demands an anal amount of precision and synchronization among players. A receiver's route is a meticulously choreographed part of a play. But if a receiver misinterprets the play call, misses a signal, misunderstands the coverage, or doesn't even know the play, they might run a different route than expected. An incorrect route disrupts timing, causing the quarterback to release the ball, expecting the receiver to be elsewhere, often resulting in incomplete passes, interceptions, or missed opportunities for big plays. So how does this happen? It can all come down to bad practice, ignorance, or miscommunication between the QB and the receiver. As shocking as this sounds, some football players aren't that smart and forget the plays, or they are early in their careers and got fooled by exotic coverages, or a receiver is thinking about their after-game plans in the huddle and missed the signal the QB blatantly told them, or their name is Kenny Golladay. Either way, running the wrong route is infuriating for everyone and happens pretty much every game. Throwing the ball away while being sacked. Persistence is one thing, but stupidity is another. Wow, that kind of sounds like my dating life. When a quarterback is in the process of being sacked, it's best to take your medicine and eat the yardage rather than let a bad play turn into a disaster or a grounding penalty. This is generally a problem with younger, inexperienced quarterbacks that just don't know when to give up. Take Jay Cutler, who threw 160 interceptions in his NFL career, but his very first one might have been the worst, as well as a perfect example of my point. While getting wrapped up by multiple Seahawks, Cutler flinged a duck that turned into a pick six, which ended up being the difference in a one-score game. Had he just accepted that the play was over, the Broncos would have faced second down and long instead of handing the Seahawks a free six-piece McNuggets. Sure, sometimes it works out for the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Brett Favre, but even those guys have had plays like that backfire. And to the Justin Fields, Zach Wilsons, and Mac Jones of the world, you ain't those guys, so take the sack and move on. Proclaiming their innocence. How many times have you seen a player commit an egregious penalty and then plead with the ref like they were the one being violated, like Club Penguin's terms of service? Everybody knows the cardinal sin of committing a penalty. It's not committing the penalty itself, it's demonstratively acting like you did nothing wrong in the first place. Players get away with holding and pass interference all the time, but the moment they throw their hands up, it's a death sentence. When nickel Roby Coleman nailed Tommy Lee Lewis on the most consequential and most obvious pass interference no call of the 21st century, he played it as cool as a cucumber, calmly walking back to the huddle and dapping up a teammate. Had he said the line,
"Say the line, Bart," I didn't do it.
It may have forced the ref's hand. Of course, James Bradbury didn't get the same level of grace when he held Juju Smith-Schuster at the end of Super Bowl 57. Getting away with a penalty is like a touchdown celebration. You have to act like you've been there before. Refs are somehow human too, and they don't like being shown up. Proclaiming your innocence after an egregious penalty is just asking for the laundry to come out. Running backwards. Going forward is the most fundamental part of football. The whole goal is to advance into the other team's territory, and without stealing any famous bits from George Carlin, that's what makes it so great. But every now and then, players will have a quick flashback to their dominant days in high school and forget that they're no longer the fastest player on the field. Try to go backwards, and instead of gaining yards, lose them. You see this happen all the time on reverses and end-arounds when receivers assume they have nothing to lose because they're already deep beyond the line of scrimmage. But in reality, they're just digging a deeper hole for the offense to climb out of. It's also pretty common on punt return. There's very few exceptions to the rule, and the most notable is Barry Sanders, who turned turning around into something of an art form. He retreated better than anyone save for perhaps the French military. But even Barry might have been better off going north and south, because between the years of 1994 through 98, after the stat was first recorded, Sanders compiled negative 614 rushing yards. That's based on positioning, don't argue with me. So even if the GOAT suffered from going backwards, no one should be doing it. And that's why I believe Mike Alstott is the real greatest running back of all time. Blown coverages. Coverages in football often involve multiple defenders coordinating to cover specific zones or players. Miscommunication or misunderstanding among defenders regarding their assignments can lead to coverage breakdowns, which in turn lead to wide open receivers and long touchdowns. Take this touchdown from Super Bowl 41 between the Bears and the Colts. On 3rd and 10, up 7 points, Peanut Tillman passed off Reggie Wayne to the defender responsible for covering up the deep zone. And sure enough, there was nobody there. All Peyton Manning had to do was throw it within a 10-yard radius, and one of the best defenses of their generation got burned because of a blown coverage. Blowing a coverage might be worse than running the wrong route. At least when you run the wrong route, the quarterback might not look your way or the ball might hit the ground. On defense, every mistake is amplified if the quarterback knows what they're doing. It takes a massive amount of prep, but mostly communication from one defender to stay on the same page as the other 10. But when one guy doesn't get the memo, the whole team suffers for it. And finally, this one infuriates fans and coaches probably the most: throwing short of the sticks. There's one mind-numbingly stupid mistake that quarterbacks and receivers make time and time again, and it's so bad that any culprit should immediately have their Madden awareness drop to 0. You have to know where the line of gain is and adjust your throw or route accordingly, especially on crucial 3rd and 4th downs. There's nothing more frustrating as a fan when you see a completed pass on 3rd and 9 fall 1 yard short of the sticks. As a quarterback in big spots, you can't assume your receiver will break a tackle and pick up a 1st down. The most famous incident of this phenomenon came on the last play of Super Bowl 34. After an astonishing drive, Steve McNair hit Kevin Dyson on a slant route short of the goal line that gave Mike Jones the chance to make the most important tackle in Rams history. Some harebrained conspiracy theorists will claim that Dyson actually got in, but the same people among us know he was, as the play has been dubbed, 1 yard short. How might history have changed if McNair waited an extra half second to throw the ball? Maybe it would have fallen incomplete, but Titans fans could have taken solace in a legit shot to the end zone. Or better yet, the incompletion may have left time on the clock for one more play. Bizarrely, there's one quarterback who excels at throwing short of the sticks on a consistent basis. When they won the Super Bowl in 2022, Patrick Mahomes made the Chiefs the only team with a positive EPA per pass figure when throwing short of the sticks. For every other team in the NFL, throwing the ball before the line to gain can be read as a negative play when it comes to your chances of winning the game. Only a handful of quarterbacks have turned the short throw into a positive EPA play for their team. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and bizarrely enough, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jay Cutler. Secondly, it's also on the receiver to know where the sticks are and run a deep enough route so that if they do catch it, it's actually a first down. Running a hitch route with virtually no chance of gaining yak 1 yard short of the sticks is dumber than anything Arthur Smith does on a Sunday. Yeah, I'm gonna end with that. I'm 5 Points Vids. You made it to my next video.